People who lost their virginity to a prostitute. How did it go and how do you feel about it now? Story 1. I was too young. Me and my friends, all same age, went to a cheap brothel together. Most of our friends lost virginity in that place the same day, and some even to sane women. Story 2. I was in college, depressed, low self-esteem, and kind of overweight. I just wanted to do it. Found a website, arranged it, went there, was nervous at first, but she made it easy. She was very sweet and beautiful, and it was as good of a first experience as I could hope for, except I couldn't stay and snuggle for hours. I did that for a few more years with different women. Most were good experiences, but a few weren't, and eventually got less nervous around women. I got quite friendly with one. I helped her out with some photos and website stuff, and we hung out in malls and had dinner sometimes. She was the only one I went to for a year and a half, and was kind of like girlfriend beginner training now that I think about it. I moved to another country where I didn't know how to get one there, so I just stopped doing it. Got in shape, handled depression better, found women would be flirting with me, and started dating. So it worked out for me in the end, but that is the case for everybody. Story 3. Found her online. Honestly, looking back, I don't regret it. I was 31 years old. It was way overdue. It felt kind of weird at the time, not necessarily bad, just like I've now crossed the bridge and there is no going back. Story 4. I was involved with hiring a sex worker for a disabled man. He had cerebral palsy and really wanted to lose his virginity. It was a whole safeguarding thing with care managers and his parents having to be involved. We found him a lovely woman who had previous experience with disabled clients, and everything went well for him. I was one of the more open-minded advocates involved. Sex workers offer services that mean far more to people in a lot of cases than you would think, experiencing sex and intimacy for the first time just being one of them. Prostitution should long have been legalized and regulated and unionized. Story 5. I didn't bat about it since I was 18. At the time, a co-worker of mine would tell me his adventures in Tijuana and the lovely nightlife. One day I asked if I can tag along the next time he goes out there. He would go mostly every weekend since he had a girlfriend out there, and agreed. As we were on our way that night, he explained the do's and don'ts and what to expect out of it. He made it clear to take my time and not to rush anything. We had the whole night. Made it to TJ, went to his usual bar, and after 2 hours, I chose one for night. I was so damn nervous. All I've known was just jerking off to porn, and this was going into the real thing. She knew I was nervous and she put her hand on me and said, "It looks like it's your first time. Don't worry and relax." Lol, I kept going to limp mode due to being so nervous. She ended jerking me off at the end. I go back down to my co-worker and he asked how was it. It was fine lol. A week later I end hooking up with my first girlfriend and not being so nervous second time around. Story 6. I feel good about it, and it was realistically the only way it was going to happen. I had an abusive childhood. My mother would have gotten prison time, and the only form of love I knew was pity. The chance to earn affection was earned in itself, and it was gamble if it paid out. I was taught love wasn't only conditional, but that it's a temporary commodity. Loads of mental shit ensued. I had never been hugged before and paid for it for 2 hours. Afterwards I dry heaved but couldn't cry. At least I knew what it was like. Afterwards there was sex, but overall it was a beneficial experience. Story 7. My younger brother did, and then she stole $2,000 from his wallet and left while he slept. Story 8. Since I was like 12 to 13, I always thought something was off with me. When boys talked about girls, I just didn't relate at all to what they were saying, and I just rolled with it because I thought it was supposed to be like that. When I was about 18 to 19, I did feel this giant pressure to lose my virginity. Like every drinking game was just about people talking about their sex life, and I just didn't get it at all. But at this party, a girl was apparently very into me, and even cried when I didn't kiss her. Like, how was I supposed to know that? Calmed her down, took her to my place, and fooled around a lot. I didn't really feel anything. She was pretty and I liked her, but not enough apparently. I wasn't nervous, it just felt like it was totally bad thing to do, not morally or legally, more like a principle or law of nature. I am not even sure if I technically had sex with her. So about 6 months later or something, on holiday with my best friends, we decide to hit a strip club, and I get a private dance. I found her to be stunning. She then initiates sex. I didn't protest. We go to this motel, I guess. We do it, and she was stunning to me. It felt comfortable having sex with her, like I could tell she was good. But for some reason I was still emotionally numb. I was fully erect though. It would take me another 5 years to realize I am not really into women, and I even tried semi-hooking up with a guy just to be sure I wasn't gay, and I felt the exact numb feeling when kissing him, but luckily I stopped it going further knowing it wouldn't change me either. So when I looked about asexuality, a lot of things suddenly made super sense, and thinking back on it, I have no idea it took me that long to look things up. Story 9. Parents and the family were away, walked down to the liquor store late and got a few pervy classified papers, pocket full of quarters. Called an out-call service. A sexy woman came over, and it was kinda clinical, but that sock, she was nice, still twitch when I smell her perfume. Beyond being a horned-up 18, a slightly impersonal experience the first time made sense to me, plus no Jeff. I appreciate the experience for what it was, and it accomplished what I hoped for. Happy, healthy, pervy sex life now. Story 10. Really cool book, paying for it, true story written by an OCD Canadian guy who decided to only use call girls after a bad breakup. Highly recommended. I found it at the public library. Story 11. My husband did in the Navy before I'd met him. He regrets it as she was local to where he was first stationed here in the US, and it was at a dinky hotel and just, not really pleasant lull. He was only 18 and was pressured to do it. Later he went on to have sex in a proper brothel in Spain and one other country. Can't remember which off the top of my head, and enjoyed those experiences much better lol. Story 12. She was an ASM artist who I got to know through her Discord server. She did sex work, so I decided to save up my paychecks and take a trip to Reno to see her. It was nice, but honestly I was so nervous that I felt I damaged my own experience. I really wish I could do it over again and be more relaxed. Now I unfortunately can't get any though, so yeah. Story 13. I kinda made a deal with myself when I was 19. I didn't have much luck with girls, but I still wanted to save it for someone special. So if I was 25 and still far away from getting a Jeff, I'm gonna lose my virginity to a prostitute. At that time I thought, I don't want to save myself for someone who's not coming. So in my early 20s, I got my first job and socially I was doing better. There were girls I was close with, but never got further than just friends. Unfortunately, a screw-up led to me getting fired. My next job had 12-hour shifts and had minimal interaction with people, much less girls, and I got pretty closed off socially cause of the tiredness, and also I was still kinda embarrassed of how I lost my previous job. So I was 25, still single, and never looked close to getting a Jeff. When my birthday came, I started looking up sites and forums. Then I stumbled upon a Japanese girl's post. She was visiting my country and was looking for work. I was starting to get into anime at the time, so I thought why not? Her rates were slightly higher than others, mostly cause I guess she's Japanese, but I had money at the time. So I went to meet her and she was actually a cute, nice girl. Knows basic English, so it was easy to communicate. She actually shared that the person who helped organize her trip and her work got into trouble with authorities after she landed here, so she was kinda lost. Edit. That person was most probably her agent or pimp, I guess. There wasn't much I could do for her, so I just hear her out. Then, I also talked a bit about myself and why I was doing it. It was funny cause I actually informed her beforehand that it was my first time before we met. But when I told her my story in person, she realized it was my first time having sex, not just first time paying for sex. The way she reacted and got kinda worried about the pressure of taking someone's first was actually kinda cute. Anyway, we did it. Tried a bunch of basic things, but obviously quite awkward for me. But she was nice about it. Afterwards we laid down and talked about anime and Japan, and how she wants to finish university and get into tourism cause she likes speaking English and talking to tourists. It was actually a pleasant experience. It wasn't as mind-blowing as I thought, but still very nice. I still did texted her for a few days after, but mostly to help her navigating the country. When she went back, I lost contact with her. Looking back, I was very lucky to get her for my first experience with a prostitute. Cause the escorts that I visited ever since had more experience, so felt more professional and commercial. She felt more like a regular girl. How I feel about it now? Well, considering I still don't have a Jeff now, I'm glad I took the plunge and got to experience sex. Though I'm not ashamed of it, it's also not something I'll easily disclose to people. Story 14. My ex-husband's father was stationed in Okinawa, Japan during WW2. My ex, Carl, was blonde, blue-eyed, and popular with the native people. By age 13, he had saved up enough dollar from doing yard work to go to a prostitute to lose his virginity. He said she was patient, it was quick, and he never regretted it. Story 15. I was 14, she was in her 30s. The moment I came in the motel, I went to her room. She asked how old I was. I told her. Then she asked if I'm a virgin. I said yes. And then she proceeded to coach me through it, particularly on how to control my thrust. Then in less than 5 minutes I came. It felt like I was in cloud 9. Went back to her a few times after that until my big brother snitched on me to my mom. She was disappointed in me. The rest was history. Looking back now, that's actually an abuse cause. I was a naive, horny little boy taken advantage of by this older woman who should have chased me away for being underage in the first place. This is a good note to end on. Please write your stories in the comments. I'll be happy to add them to future videos. Also, you can rate our other videos. We would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.